everybody. Welcome into another edition of Draft Nuggets. Another mock draft for you here on the channel. The first one, Dallas Cowboys mock draft, did so well, and we have you guys to thank for this. Subscribers more than doubled from that video, and the views were just insane. So we really appreciate all of your support. You're letting us know who you wanted to see next, and I had several people mentioned me that you'd love to see the other team in Texas, the Houston Texans, walk through a mock draft here on the show. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a 4-round mock draft, basically the same settings as last time. Texans are an interesting team because they just fired their head coach, Lovie Smith. They, just a couple of days ago, hired DeMeco Ryans, who's a defensive-minded guy, former 49ers linebacker, and then was the defensive coordinator for San Francisco as well for the last couple of seasons. And I really like the mindset that he brings. He seems like a locker room guy, a guy who's going to get everybody to buy in at their utmost. And I think that's something that this franchise needs. They also need quarterback, though, and that is the topic of conversation as we start this mock draft. Chicago Bears obviously on the clock at number 1. They don't need a quarterback. So for me, I don't see the reason to trade up to number 1. Now, in a real life scenario, when you've got rumors and phone calls flying in the war room, maybe the Texans do trade up to number 1. But you look at their picks, they've got 2, 12, 33, 65, 73, and 104. That's a lot of draft capital and value already. Would it be great to add some more picks? Absolutely. But in this case, I'm not going to give up our most valuable chips here in order to move up one spot where I don't think the Bears are going to take a quarterback anyway. Just for sake of comparison, it would either take both of your firsts. It would take your first, second. I don't think is realistic at all to say that just to move back, they'd be willing to pick up just 65. I don't think that's realistic at all. And maybe a little bit of the shortcoming of the mock, but we're going to let it roll as is. And let's get this started. The Houston Texans on the clock. They take Will Anderson. I think that's a very popular pick to mock if the Bears are going to stand pat. So here we are at number 2. I do want to look at the trade requests. Immediately, all of these are too far back, but if the Colts called, if the Lions decided to call, maybe I might consider this. If the Colts call, I'm picking up the phone because I think Cardinals are not going to take a quarterback, shouldn't take a quarterback. And so then the only risk that you would run is somebody jumping up and getting the Cardinal slot. If the Colts came up for Bryce Young, for instance, then you'd only have to weather one more pick before you could take CJ Stroud. In this scenario, though, we are not going to pick up the phone and take any of those trade requests. The number 1 player on my board is Bryce Young. Is he a little undersized? Yes. Is he your stereotypical quarterback from a look standpoint? No, he's not. But I believe that he's the best playmaker in this draft. When you look at what he's able to do at the line of scrimmage, what he can do with his feet, what he can do with his arm, making all the different throws, and most importantly, extending the plays. This guy's a gamer to the likes that we haven't seen in, I think, the last 2 or 3 years. So while he doesn't look like a Will Levis, who has the frame, all the physical tools, Bryce Young's got the it factor, and I think he's going to succeed at the NFL level. For me, if you're looking at the most complete quarterback in this draft, it's Bryce Young. No questions about it. So Bryce Young goes number 2. Will Levis goes 4 to the Colts. Brian Bresee goes to the Seahawks, who I'm seeing in this mock. There are a lot of mocks where I see basically the top interior guy taken. So Jalen Carter goes at number 3 to the Cardinals. They need defensive line help. I think they need an edge more than they do a 3-tech or a nose, but Bresee goes to the Seahawks. First cornerback off the board, Devin Witherspoon. CJ Stroud goes to the Raiders, who are just, elated to get who I think is the number 2 quarterback. Tyree Wilson, I'm big on him. I've talked about that. And then Brian Branch, top safety, off the board at number 10. to the Eagles. Now, maybe what's most relevant here for the Texans at pick number 2 is the fact that Peter Skoronski, who I've got ranked as my top interior offensive lineman, he's not going to be a tackle. He doesn't have the arm length to be a tackle at the NFL level. So the Titans take the top guard on the board. Now you see, according to this, center, interior offensive line is your next big need for the Texans. Now, don't be fooled by the fact that there's only 3 items here. The Texans need everything. So I think taking Paris Johnson here would be great. I think maybe going and getting Christian Gonzalez at number 12. I don't think that's too early to go get a guy like Christian Gonzalez. I do think it's too early to take a wide receiver. I don't know that Quentin Johnston is top 12 worthy. You look down the board here. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with the position value that we have if we don't take Paris Johnson Jr. And I do have Paris Johnson graded as my top tackle in the class. I'm a big believer that you don't draft for need, you draft for position value. So we could draft Paris Johnson Jr. Let's look at the trade requests. Commanders want us to slide down to 16. And you got the Giants, the Bengals, and the Bears. I'm interested to see who the Commanders would be coming up for. They're not going to give me 47. They'd give me 97, which is a compensatory pick. Let's look at the Giants. The Giants, if we slid all the way back to 25, would give us 54 as well. So we'd have 25, 33, 57, 65, 73, 104. Paris Johnson Jr. is a very, very good tackle. He's a number 1 position grade on my board. I think in this case, I'm not going to pass on the guy that I think is a day 1 starter. I'll let the Texans figure out where he goes. I'm going to take Paris Johnson Jr. I think that's a really, really good pick. Anthony Richardson comes off the board of the Patriots. Zay Flowers keeps going in the first round. I tell you what, a lot of folks like Zay Flowers. I think he's more of a second-round guy myself. Cowboys take a linebacker, Osiris Torrance, who's a good interior player. He's had a great Senior Bowl. Goes in that first round as well. Dalton Kincaid slides in to the Philadelphia Eagles. And Joey Porter Jr. made it all the way to 30. That's a guy that I've seen go as high as 10 to the Eagles. So to come all the way down here to the Chiefs is really, really good value. So now we're back on the clock at 33. 65, 73, 104 remaining in this mock draft. At 33, you've got a couple of really good safeties. So to me, this board is screaming Siaki Ika. Now you can go get your defensive interior. Ika's a space eater. He's a big boy, good run stopper, and a guy that I don't know if he plays all 3 downs at the next level, but a guy that would be a powerful rotational piece. Seahawks want to move up. Lions, that's too far. Jags, that's too far. Bengals, that's too far. If I don't take Siaki, he's gonna go here. So we're on the Underthink Express here. I like trading down, but in this scenario, when there's so much value at the top of the board, I think you're getting, so far, I think you've got 3 day 1 starters. So we're going to take Siaki Ika. Josh Downs goes to the Cardinals. Next, I'm probably looking for a wide receiver. There goes Darnell Wright to the Panthers. You know I'm high on him. Emmanuel Forbes to the Packers. Cody Mauch to the Patriots. That's a quintessential Patriots pick. And I think they'd be getting good value. John Michael Schmitz, who we talked about last time around. Parker Washington, the wide receiver out of Penn State, goes. And we're back on the clock. And now we've got, let's look at wide receivers. Jalen Hyatt, Rashee Rice. Cedric Tillman, I'm not very high on Cedric Tillman. A.T. Perry is down here. Tyler Scott's down here. I had a guy in the comments of the Cowboys video say that I was too high on Jalen Hyatt, that Tyler Scott is the better wide receiver. And I explained in that video, I don't disagree that Scott could have the better NFL future, but right now, and frankly, I think he's maybe a little bit more complete of a player from a route running standpoint, but Jalen Hyatt's a freak. He can go, and he's got a little bit of wiggle in his routes as well. The problem was Tennessee never really asked him to run many routes other than a go or a cross or, a comeback from time to time. So I'd love to see what he does at the NFL level when he's actually got, a good route tree that's in front of him. Let's go back to the board here. I'm not blown away. Well, I say that. I'm not blown away by the value here, but Deonte Banks, cornerback out of Maryland, he's starting to rise up some draft boards, and I think he could be really, really nice to get. We've got 73, right? So we can get a wide receiver a little bit later on. I think Rashee Rice may even be there. Let's go ahead and draft Deonte Banks. Texans need to continue to bolster that secondary, continue to add young pieces there. Derek Stingley Jr. could use a running mate, so we're going to take Deonte Banks. Wide receivers are still there. There goes Rashee Rice. Okay, so that's fine. So if we wanted to take Jalen Hyatt, we absolutely could. I think the Titans got that right. I have Rashee Rice listed ahead of Jalen Hyatt. At this point, I think it's time to take a wide receiver. And I know I took Jalen Hyatt in the Cowboys mock draft. Sometimes that's just how this works. But I think it's time to take the wide receiver. Let's speed things up. I'm not really interested in trading up. Isaiah Foskey goes. It's interesting. There's a lot of separate grades on Isaiah Foskey. Sometimes he's listed as a top 35, 40 prospect. Other times you're going to see him go in the 80s. I think he shows bursts of power, but I don't know that he's incredibly consistent there. And so I'm interested to see where he actually goes on draft day. All right. Devin Achane, the top-ranked player on the board. You've got Chris Smith, good safety. You've got two safeties already that I feel really good about, so I don't know that you need to go get them. Valimi Fehoko, Dorian Williams. I love Dorian Williams. Didn't get to take him in the... I didn't get to take him in the Cowboys draft. We ended up taking Cam Jones. I think this is a great spot to go get an All-American, Cotton Bowl MVP. We're going to do this. We're going to do the Underthink Express once again. We're going to take Dorian Williams, a playmaker at the linebacker position. And that wraps up our 4-round mock draft. I feel really good about this. Let's get our grade here. We get an A. C+ on Deonte Banks, C+ on Dorian Williams. That's fine. If you want to say that you didn't fully optimize positional value there according to the big board, fine. You're not going to have an argument from me. I think these picks really fit with ultimately what DeMeco Ryans is going to try and build, right? He's a former linebacker himself. He's going to prioritize that front seven. Plus, you objectively need another corner. But to get an A+, an A- on 4 of the 6 picks, I think the Texans are elated with this draft grade. A overall through 4 rounds. Let me know who you'd like to see me mock up next. We're going to start doing some 7-round mocks as well. Part of the reason I'm doing 4 is because I'm familiar with almost every player in the top 4 rounds that we're seeing going on a week-to-week basis. As I continue to expand my draft research, my draft knowledge, we will be doing some 7-round mock drafts. So let me know who you'd like to see us mock to the fullest extent. And thank you so much for the support, all the love on the last couple of videos. Leave a like, subscribe, and let me know who you want to see next. And I will see you in the next video.
Gracious, how about that?